Hi, I'm Kia Abdullah, the author of Take It Back and now Truth Be Told. In Truth Be Told, we meet Cameron Hadid, a 17-year-old boy who attends an elite all-male boarding school in London. Cameron is confident and optimistic. He comes from a wealthy family and he has a place waiting for him at Oxford next year. So everything is in place for him. But then, a night of drunken revelry leads to a sexual encounter with a fellow pupil, and Cameron must ask himself a horrifying question. Did I agree to it? Cameron seeks the help of Zara Khalil, an ex-barrister turned rape counsellor who some of you will recognise from my last novel, Take It Back. Together they must navigate the extraordinary stigma around male rape. I like to think that Truth Be Told can be read in one of two ways. The first is as a pure courtroom thriller for those after a page-turner. The second asks us to question how we might engage in the culture of toxic masculinity. How does it affect our young men? And how do we change the machinery and allow them to be vulnerable? I come from a community that is profoundly patriarchal, where young men are very much expected to live up to this masculine ideal. And I wanted to examine how that affects young men in their daily lives, but also when something huge and taboo happens, like sexual assault. It was really important to me to speak to some real life survivors to make sure that Cameron is as authentic as possible. I think and I hope that I've done him justice, but most of all, I hope that Truth Be Told starts some important and overdue conversations. Truth Be Told is the first novel that I've ever written to a deadline, so that was very different. Firstly, because I had to make sure I was being disciplined, I had to make sure I was hitting my daily word count because there was a deadline and I had to hit it. Secondly, there was an audience, a very enthusiastic audience, thank you guys, waiting for the novel. So on social media, people were saying, when's the next Zara Khalil novel out? Can't wait to read it. And so there was a little part of me that was a bit daunted at the prospect of those expectations. But the feedback so far has been incredible. So I am very, very pleased. Yeah, it's been strange because when the pandemic first hit, my productivity definitely hit the pavement, which is natural. There's this global, unprecedented thing happening in our lifetime. But as we have kind of settled into a new normal, I've managed to find a rhythm again, which is great. I'm very lucky in that I'm not a naturally anxious person, so I'm able to compartmentalize really well and I feel able to stand up to life. I very much empathize with writers and creatives and people in general who have felt the anxiety levels rise in this period, and I just hope that they manage to get back to a healthy place soon. I hope so. I very much hope so. I definitely feel that I found my voice as a writer. Now, voice is this kind of mythical thing that all authors are told at the beginning of their career that they must find. And I think, unless you're kind of preternaturally talented like Zadie Smith, I think most of us struggle with that for the first couple of years. But I feel that I found that, which is great. But in terms of novel writing, I've been told by several super successful best-selling authors that it never gets easier. So that's good to know. But no, on a serious level, feel I feel confident that I've got the necessary pedigree for a writer because I've always been a reader. Ever since I was 4 years old, I was gobbling down books, and so that has given me the confidence. Oh, that's a good question. I gravitate towards dark fiction anyway, and so in lockdown that's certainly been true. Just off the top of my head, I've read The Water Cure, Keeper, All the Girls Are So Nice Here, and they are all pretty dark books. That said, I'm currently reading The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which is a hugely successful romantic comedy, and I haven't read romance in years, but I am really enjoying this and looking forward to the rest of it. Oh, that's easy. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. By the time I got to it, I think everybody else had already read it. And usually I'm quite skeptical of kind of stratospheric novels. I feel that, oh, is it going to live up to my expectations? But Where the Crawdads Sing absolutely did. I spent most of it on the verge of tears. I absolutely loved Kaya. And the scene that got me, no spoilers, but when she goes to see Jumpin and she gives him what she gives him and she says, I'm going to be okay now. That scene got me. All the usual suspects. A Suitable Boy, The Count of Monte Cristo, Wolf Hall, which I'm sorry, Literary World, I haven't read yet. I will get to it at some point. I recently finished The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I absolutely loved, but it did make me swear off long novels for a while. But yeah, the ones I mentioned are definitely on my bucket list. Yes, and it is a terrible habit. Life is too short for bad books. But unless I give up in the first 10 pages, as I have done with many books, I've tried to read As I Lay Dying 10 times and find it impenetrable, then I won't do it to myself. But if I have gone past the first chapter, then I will labor on to the end. It's kind of like the sunk cost fallacy. If I've already invested X amount of time, I just have to finish it. And it's a terrible, terrible philosophy. Don't do it, kids. Yes, of course. So this is the cover of Truth Be Told. At first, when I saw the design on screen, I wasn't sure about the mint. But I have to say, seeing it in real life, I absolutely love it. I think it's so eye-catching and I am delighted with it. Now, genre covers are always really interesting. And by genre, I mean anything you can kind of put a name to. So sci fi, romance, crime, thriller, that sort of thing, because they often follow a template. Crime novels will often have kind of block lettering, a shadowy silhouette. And as an author, you can initially feel a little bit disconcerted by that because you don't want people to perceive your novel as a bit of an airport novel, the kind of junk food of the literary world. You consume it and you throw it away because we know how much love and research and craft goes into our novels. But here's the thing, these sorts of covers sell. And if your book doesn't sell, nobody's going to see how much craft you put into it. And so that is one thing I have learned. And so I am super proud of this cover. I love it. I love this novel and I hope you do too.